The crapification of the U.S. economy is now complete, and magically, COVID is over. What's up, everybody? Welcome aboard. It is Bubba's Bottom Line for Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday, February the 13th. It's Valentine's Day weekend. What else could you ask for except for the destruction of the U.S. dollar, the U.S. economy, and basically the globalization of the world? What a great time to be alive. My God, look at what's happened to this country. And it only looks to be getting worse as we continue to allow the imbeciles to run the asylum. We are seeing just some dramatic things in this world today. And of course, the more the technology kicks in, the more problems and the more freedom that we have to give up. And I think that, there's some major problems. But we'll get all that and more as we tell you that this is Bubba's Bottom Line for Sunday, the 13th of February. And, of course, this first part is brought to you by our friends at the Capital Trading Group, CTG, one of our partners. And they do such a great job that the owners have been able to authorize for letter of direction trading for futures and commodities. They're running our Day Trader's Dream, which has been kicking ass. So it's all been great. And we'll check them out, info.capitaltradinggroup.com/Bubba. That's info.capitaltradinggroup.com/Bubba. And remember, they take care of all my accounts as well. In the meantime, we have got a disaster headed. We're in a disaster, and it's only going to get worse. But magically, COVID is over, I guess, because now they have lifted overnight. They have lifted the mask mandates. What does that mean? Well, I don't know. It means that no more masks. Now, what happened overnight? I don't know. Okay, some magic formula, or it might be called the November election. The midterms are coming faster than you think because, of course, the great Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, who has stolen $150 million out of the stock market over the years with her inside information, has said, well, no longer should Congress be allowed to own stocks. And, of course, what a bill that is. Now, where was that bill before they grabbed all the dough? Where, I guess they've now made so much that they want to now outlaw it. Okay. This is, again, these are issues that continue to grow as we hear the White House isn't worried about inflation, and why would they? They're treated differently than we are. They don't have the same health care. They make a lot more money. They got paid all the way through COVID. They got raises. Okay, they have lobbyists that they deal with all the time that give them perks and gifts. I mean, again, Hunter Biden making millions of dollars for doing nothing. Think about it. Okay, again, it doesn't matter if he's Republican or Democrat. Listen, in this issue, nobody is on the right side because they're all criminals, as far as I'm concerned. That's my opinion. Okay, and this is the problem with the way that we're set up. But of course, you've got the freedom drivers in Canada. Okay, and now the police are trying to get them out, but they're not protesting the vax mandate and the COVID stuff. They're protesting globalism. Okay, that is not what we want. Okay, that is not freedom. That is penitentiary. Okay, the more they know about you, the more they can track you down, the more they can do more destruction to the country that we love. Okay, I mean, this is such a ridiculous message that they're sending. And when you look at the overall picture, we can start with inflation, which is a ridiculous joke of a number to begin with. I mean, does anybody believe that the CPI number is anywhere near what real inflation is? Okay, we know that crude oil has gone up 200% since Biden took office. And we know that we have given complete control to China, Russia, and Saudi Arabia. Okay. Now, of course, three countries that like this like a knife right in our back and are laughing away as now they're occupying the president with the potential invasion of Ukraine, which is never going to happen. Okay, I have some very good sources out of Russia that tell me there's no chance it's going to happen, and I agree. I don't think there's any chance that it happens. I think that that Putin holds more power by the threat of going in than actually going in. Okay, but you have those who believe that the U.S. wants a war there so they can make more money on selling goods and services, right? I mean, listen, we manufacture a lot of military products, but at the end of the day, okay, inflation is runaway. Okay, interest rates, the Fed is as dumb as a post, and they are loaded with morons that refuse to use logic and common sense when it comes to understanding how the markets function. I mean, listen, asset classes can price themselves with no issue because there's going to be a buyer and a seller. Okay, we see that all the time. Yet the Federal Reserve continues to keep these rates at nothing. And again, the nominal interest rate is negative. Okay, so even though the 10-year note is kicking near 2%, it is still at a negative rate. And until it gets to 5 or 6%, it will remain negative. But of course, the genius in the White House could solve this problem with the stroke of a pen. And we know that he doesn't want to do that, because how can you continue to destruct Americans' lives, okay, destroy a middle class, so that we make sure that Facebook and Google and Twitter and those guys have total control of the world? Okay, so why would you want to go back to fracking and shale producing? It is not because of the green environment. That is the biggest bunch of horseshit ever. Okay, again, I've said this every week. I think we are already the greenest, and unless we're going to build a dome over the United States of America, the pollution that gets here from China, India, and others is going to continue to come. And there isn't. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't be working towards it, but you could not get it done tomorrow anyways. And then you talk about the supply chain issue. Now, supply chain, well, we can't get goods. We can't get goods and services delivered. Now, where are they going to come from? Are they going to magically appear? This goes back to oil. You know, look, you can be against oil all you want for the environment. You can talk about you can talk about all the crap you want, okay? But at what cost do you want to destroy the United States of America? Okay, you know, you're going to have trouble next year, and don't be surprised if there's a shortage of food next year. You know, for those of you who may not understand the supply chain and the issues that they're having, we can't get anything delivered, we can't get anything picked up, and of course, everything, you know, we can't get enough employees, despite what the jobs numbers say. But now, let's go walk back even further to the farm. Okay, the people who produce our food. I will tell you that based on the current environment, there may be farmers next year that can't afford or won't be able to afford to plant their acreage because they are seeing rising interest rates, and farmers get no break on interest rates. Farmers aren't paying 2, 3, 4% like you do for a mortgage. Farmers are paying probably double what the average person pays because, of course, the banks assume risk of the farming, and if something doesn't go right, you add in the cost of fuel, the cost of natural gas, the cost of Andreas ammonia, the cost of everything that it takes to produce that corn or those soybeans or wheat or to feed the cattle, okay? And suddenly you have to borrow X millions of dollars, and you're borrowing at 7 or 8%, if not higher, okay? It's kind of hard to make a living, okay? So you may see a lack of some people deciding not to plant, or you might see a lean into one crop versus another, but it would be no surprise to me if there was a shortage in food next year. Okay. Again, it'll depend on weather across the globe. But right now, you've got some shortage already developing, which is another reason we see the higher prices. Okay. And then, okay, what are you going to do? Then what are you going to do? Okay. And this is a problem that is being created by the administration that is in power right now. Okay. That is not anything but that. And again, I'm not against, who's ever in office. I'm against what they're doing in the office. I'm against the destruction of everything this country was built on. Okay, that's what I'm against. Again, I don't care if it was a Republican or a Democrat. Okay, but magically, we see the Democrats lifting the mask mandates. Okay, the vaccine mandate got kicked by the Supreme Court, which I'm happy for. Okay, but again, this is all ways of them accumulating more information on you, destructing more of your freedom. Okay, again, the more information that government has on you, the more trouble that you are in, the less freedom that you have. And again, you can name a lot of things you do that you might spend cash for, okay, that nobody knows about. Whether, again, I'm not going to go into it. You all know what you do, but are those things that you want the federal government to know about, which means that everybody around you will know about them as well. Okay. You've got China now dealing with digital currency. And of course, there is the thought that that's, of course, a way of spying, which it is. Okay, now listen, spying on other countries has been going on forever. This is not new. All that has changed is the technology. But the technology has made it easier and faster and more accurate. Okay, so of course China's spying on using their digital currency. What do you think? This is not, again, they can track that currency where it goes. This is where we're headed. And I didn't think it would be this quick, but I'm going to say, unless something changes in our favor, okay, we'll have digital currency in this country in full in 2 years. You'll have to turn your cash in like they do in the Army. The script, you have to turn it in and get new script. And in other words, everybody's going to be digital, which means that from the time you're born to the time you die, they will know every move that you make. Okay, is that what you want? I got news for you. It ain't what I want. Okay, and I mean, is it any surprise? China is denying that they've stolen some IPs. Does anybody believe that they haven't stolen it? Okay, really? Does anybody here believe that? If you do, you're in fantasy island. Okay, because again, remember, all countries do their intelligence work. Okay, this is not new. This is not something that hasn't happened. We can blame China. Blaming China is like blaming the high-frequency traders. You don't think that that there's intel on everybody, and isn't it amazing? Okay, that right before the election, right, a bill is going to be passed not to be able to buy stock for Congress. Isn't that wonderful? So notice we've got two major things, and they still are not going to win. The real question is what type of a landslide we're going to see in the midterms. Okay, which, believe me, no matter which party you reside on, you never want one party to have total control. That is not a very healthy situation. Okay, and when you look into it deeper, you'll learn that we need to have those checks and balances, because otherwise you end up in a mess like they're trying to develop. Now, fortunately, we've been able to stave off this Build Back Better plan because it's not a good plan. And remember, they call it the sausage factory for a reason, or sausage making in Washington for a reason, because every bill is not a bill that you see on its face. Every bill has a bunch of stuff locked underneath it. Okay, because they had to, you've seen the TV shows where they make deals and they give this guy that and this guy that. They all have to give something away. So we end up getting about 10% of what you wanted, and you're paying 100% for all of it. It doesn't make sense. Okay, when you look at it, and again, you have to remember that it's your freedom. Joe Rogan has stepped up and really socked CNN and Lemon and Stetler, and he really laid into them. Okay, and of course, I think CNN is probably going out of business. Their viewership is down 90%. Okay, so they look to be in lots of trouble, and good for them. And look, I think that the news, the way it's reported, whether you watch Fox or CNBC or whoever you watch, is all garbage. Okay, I think it is all with an agenda, which unfortunately, too many people are swayed by people's opinions instead of understanding the facts themselves. So again, if you want to continue to give up your freedom, just keep following along, okay? And they will take everything that you will give them, and you will see we will have, instead of a 3-class society, we'll have 2, and it'll be the very rich who will never be able to be competed with. There'll be no more capitalism, and there'll be the very poor who will be on the government payroll. This is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, US 30 drag strip. Sunday, February the 13th, Super Bowl Sunday and Valentine's tomorrow, and my goodness gracious. In the meantime, I want to remind you of our other sponsors, which are Trade Your Brokerage. And listen, again, I tell you this all the time, $10 a month, okay? How can you pass on $10 a month, okay? I mean, you're wasting money everywhere else. You're letting this inflation take charge. Plus the fact that if you're in our equity portfolios, you can have them auto-traded. You can buy the licensing for the auto-trading in our hedging model, okay? But even if you do none of that, $10 a month, how can you pass it up? But hey, listen, it only saves me 6 figures a year. But, listen, you want to spend more money, good for you. You want to check them out, go to try.trader.com/Bubba. That's try.trader.com/Bubba. You can check them out. And, of course, our gold and metals, gold, silver, and platinum. Our physical metal supplier, Strategic Wealth Preservation. That's where I do all my shopping. swpcayman.com/Bubba Trading, Bubba-Trading. That's swpcayman.com/Bubba-Trading. And you can see it scrolling on the bottom because I sometimes I trip over myself trying to get all the words out. Okay. And of course, Capital Trading Group, which we opened up with. And now let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line and our market report for the week, because what a crazy day we saw on Friday. Welcome back. This is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Todd Bubba Horowitz. It is Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday. Okay, and my prediction is coming up soon. Okay. Anyways, so I think when we look at the markets, we're in this wild, swinging consolidation phase of markets. You saw Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we were rallying like they were going to go to the moon. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, they collapsed and actually closed below the February opening. Okay. We are lower than we were at any time during the month of February. Okay. Now, unfortunately, we're long the Dow, which was not bad. Okay. But was lower. We're short. We're long the S&P, which was ugly, and the NASDAQ, which was the ugliest. Okay. And when you look at the chart, you can see the Dow and the S&P stuck in this wild consolidation, this swinging pattern, which is never good, especially if you're a trend trader. Okay. And of course, the Russell is broken down, which we're still short. Now, it was higher for the week. So again, as bad as the damage was done in the Dow, S&P, and NASDAQ, the Russell was higher. We're still short. Now, that will probably change at one time if it goes up a little bit further. But it's still, if you look at the chart, you can see the NASDAQ is really broken down, and we're still long at the moment. But again, I don't think that's far away either. And the Russell, although rallied last week, but again, you're at the bottom end. So we'll see what they do from here. But again, I'm going to play the methods the way I play. And when I trade during the day, I trade whatever the price action tells me. Okay. Now, we saw a big move on Friday in gold. Okay. There's gold in them there hills. All of a sudden, gold and silver were kind of hovering and kind of flatlining. Okay. And that 1800 has been this key support, and gold and silver in 23 was the key level I had to close above. And we'd been vacillating all week. And then suddenly you had a rally on Thursday. But Friday, you had, after the actual pit hours of gold. Okay. Because there's a difference, right? There's the pit hours of that they used to trade, even though there's really no more trading pits, there are the pit hours. So a lot of positions mark off of the pit. But after that, you had a dramatic move in gold, taking gold very high and then bringing it back a little bit, but still close. And we will be buying gold. And again, either tonight, if you trade Sunday nights, or our people will be buying tomorrow morning. Okay. With when CTG does it, or yourself. But either way, we will be reversing gold. We're still going to be short silver. And platinum, we would be reversing as well if we trade it, but we do not trade it. I do buy it though, physical. I buy physical at all times. Okay. But again, you saw, and I think that was more of the fact of the matter is the rally basically took place in about 20 minutes. And I think it was more of a short squeeze and a short covering rally. And not that I don't like gold, because I do. And I knew that these were pretty key levels, but don't be surprised to see some pullback unless overnight there's some dramatic action in Russia and Ukraine, which I don't think is going to happen. Okay. And copper has been obviously garbage for us as well. It's been going, again, it's been churning in a very tight pattern, just far enough to keep triggering a reversal. Okay. And, it's really stuck between 4 and 5, but the levels it gets wound up is between like about 420 and about 460. But, we are long copper at the moment. Okay. Nat gas is headed south and we are shorted. Okay. That makes sense. The timing now is winter is winding down. So not a surprise that we continue to see nat gas go lower. Now, I don't think it's going down to the $1.50 level. And again, it's very violent and very wild. And again, you could get something that could create some action. But again, this is all based on the stupid ass energy policy that we have, which has pushed crude oil up now for, I think, the 12th week in a row. And as I said, I thought $100 would be here within 2 weeks. Well, I think we might get there this week. Okay. Now, again, if there's something that does happen in the Ukraine, okay, I think you'll see oil spike anyways. Okay, because that is a political commodity as well, and unease. But we're almost $94 a barrel now. Did you see that rally yesterday? All at midday and about 1 o'clock, it went crazy. I mean, on Friday, okay, it went crazy higher. Okay, so again, these are things that could be solved. We should not be an energy importer. We should be an exporter. We have plenty of natural gas, which we can get without harming the environment, and we got plenty of crude oil, which we can get without harming the environment, other than the burning of fossil fuels. But we're going to burn them anyways. Okay, and again, remember, everything you do, about 90% of what you do has something to do with fossil fuels. Okay, so don't kid yourself into this bullshit of they're helping the environment. They're stealing the money. They're not helping the environment. Okay, and bonds and notes were much lower. And again, lower bonds and notes means higher interest rates. And they had a dramatic turnaround, late, and it got really wild, which again, when you get fear, okay, like you saw on Friday, when you suddenly see, that's what people do. They run to the US dollar, which rallied. They run to the bond market. Okay. Again, that's the first safety play. Now the bonds will go back and start to sell off. Okay. In my opinion, I think that, we're going to see, I think the 10-year is going to 3% at least. And believe me, even at 3%, nominal rates are still negative. Okay. So, but I think that you're going to see a pretty dramatic sell. And again, you're going to see rallies in markets that are trending lower. And that's where you want to sell the resistance. You buy the support and uptrend, you sell the resistance and downtrends. Okay. But the dollar, as I mentioned, the dollar is lower. We're short the dollar. We're long crude. We're short dollars. Now, again, the dollar had a little pop. Why? Because that's where countries run when they're afraid. Okay. On Friday, when there's a little bit of fear, about Russia and troops going in, the dollar started to spike a little bit because we still are the reserve currency. Okay. So, again, you see these things. These are very common. But the dollar itself, okay, and other currencies around the globe are really, their trajectory is to zero, because the central banking system is a basically not a legitimate criminal system, but they're basically stealing or devaluing your money on a daily basis and taking money right out of your pocket without you even knowing it. Okay. And as we look at the grain markets, they continue to charge higher. Okay. And we're still long corn. We're still long beans, short wheat. Wheat's got to get back over $8, I would assume, for us to get long again. But I think wheat, very political, because again, Russia is a big part of the wheat markets, and bread and so on, and you let them eat cake. That was what that was all about, from Marie Antoinette. But beans and corn look great and look like they're going significantly higher, along with wheat too. It just happens we happen to be short at the moment. But I think you're going to see a very big rally and a continuation of what we've seen started. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised to see beans in the mid-17s, corn with a 7 handle, and wheat with potentially a 9 handle at some point. Okay, but these are all warning signs for later. Okay, these are warning signs about the economy. Okay, and the supply chain issues and the cost. And remember, when we look into the protein markets, which is hogs and cattle, Okay, at some point, the budget for people will. Right now, hogs and cattle and live and feeders are great. Okay, but you're going to get to a point where the budget is going to take place, and they're going to have trouble. Okay, with their with the entire situation. Okay, people spending that. You can only spend so much. You only got so much money to spend every month, so you may not be buying that steak, and you may have to go to pork. Okay, the other white meat, and of course then chicken, because that's how they price out at the retail level. Okay, but you're seeing short if you can get them. In the meantime, we're long them all right now, and they look good. I mean, I haven't seen hogs. We knew this was a sign when we saw December hogs in the 70s for the first time, I think, in my career. Okay, so this is all part of the inflation curve, and that takes us into the softs. Cotton continues to explode higher, along with coffee. Okay, now you expect hikes at your local coffee shop. Okay, expect higher prices. Now there really shouldn't be, because no matter how high price goes, the actual ingredients, the component, is such a little bit of the price that it's almost laughable. But of course, that these retailers will use anything they can to raise their prices, which then in turn raises their profit margin. Okay, and sugar is flat and to lower. We're still short. Cocoa is exploding, which obviously was the weakest last year, and we're still long. And OJ is lower. The cold snap in Florida is over, and they really shouldn't be watching Florida. They should be watching Brazil. And Bitcoin had a nice little rally. It's back in the mid 40,000 level. And again, it would be no surprise to see it test the lows again. And it would be no surprise to see it at 50, 60, 70,000. It's going to be around. You're going to see a bunch of things happening here. They're trying to do some legislation on some of the others. In the meantime, they continue to add. But when they start to securitize these and the SEC is involved, you'll see that it will probably end up with about 50 or 60 that'll be viable. In the meantime, this is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Todd Bubba Horowitz. It is Sunday, the 13th of what month is this? February. Okay, tomorrow is Valentine's Day, but today is the Super Bowl. We'll be back right after the break with my Super Bowl prediction, a couple of props, and, of course, my commentary. Anyways, guys, just want to remember, just look along the bottom. Check out our sponsors, Capital Trading Group, Trade Your Brokerage, and Strategic Wealth Preservation. They're all vetted. They're all companies that I use personally. Okay, this is no marketing ploy. This is I use them myself for all of my stuff. In the meantime, let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line. Welcome back. This is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, the 13th of February, and of course, it is Super Bowl this afternoon. At 6:30 Eastern, I believe, is the official kick. And I will give you my pick right after I give you my commentary. And of course, my commentary has to do with inflation. Okay, as the governments continue to report bullshit numbers that are absolutely worthless because they don't count food and energy. I'll stand on my head and keep saying this. They do not count food and energy. And the ridiculous number they give you, just multiply that by 2.5 or 3 times, because that will tell you what real inflation is. Inflation, they say that 4% of your budget goes to food and energy. And I say, really? For the most Americans, unless you have a furnace or need a new roof or a major repair somewhere, I'm going to say that 25%, if not more, depending on how much you make, of your income goes to food and energy. Okay, so to exclude food and energy from the CPI number is ridiculous. I think that the average family is costing about $3,000 to $4,000 a year of more expense. Okay, now think about that. If you're making $50,000 a year, that's about 6%. And that's pre-tax dollars. So it's about 9% of your income now has been reduced because of the ignoramuses in Washington, D.C. that refuse to allow us to frack, shale produce, and make our oil so that we can reduce all of our prices and end this inflationary cycle, because the Fed isn't going to do anything. Okay. Anyways, Super Bowl Sunday. And of course, it's the Rams against the Bengals. Love Joe Burrow. Think he's awesome. But I think it's Matthew Stafford's time, and I think it's the Los Angeles Rams. Now, I think they're going to whip their ass, but I have played the money line as well. I'll give you my total selection here. Okay, I bet the minute the game came out, I laid 3.5. I take the money line on the Rams, But I also bet the other day at 2.75 to 1, $2.75. So again, 2.5 to 1. I took Joe Burrow for the MVP. It's like a little hedge against my wager in case I'm wrong. And I do like a couple of props for you. The second half will be the higher scoring half. I think that might be getting away though, juice wise. But I think that's a great prop. I think it's a high probability prop. And the other big prop, but I think this might have gotten away as well, is that the opening kickoff does not turn into a touchback, because historically they use a commemorative ball. It's not the normal ball, so it's not worked in by the kicker. According to Pat McAfee, it's like kicking a brick. Okay, and 26 out of the last 28, there has not been a touchback. So that's up to you. Whatever it is, make sure you're not betting too much. Enjoy yourself. Have a great Super Bowl. Happy Valentine's Day. But we will see you tomorrow on Valentine's Day with our Valentine's BUBBA'S Day that day. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks so much. Enjoy the game, and we'll see you later.